like that.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Township Board's business meeting. We have you know how we always start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance? Tonight, we have Cub Scout Den 1261 that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And before we do that, Mrs. Budziak, who's the Den mother, is going to introduce the boys.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Township of Groseal, for letting us be here today to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm Jenny Budziak, along with Ron Sukokis. He's also one of the other Den leaders. But we are PAC 1261 from Groseal, and these are the Weeblo 2 Den. These are 5th graders and a few 4th graders. But I just wanted to introduce them to you. This is Nolan Maxian, Leo Emmanuel,
Aye.
Brian Budziak,
Hey, Ryan.
Logan Bates, Alex Kearney, Ryan Farino, and Sully Sukokis.
Thank you, boys, for being here tonight.
Thank you for having
Jenny
us.
for bringing them. And now we will have, they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. Thank you.
All right. They do that. They get a badge for coming down and meeting the township and doing this. So that's one of the things on their list that they have to do. Always nice to help them out. All right. Moving along. Additions, deletions.
Mr. Supervisor, I have one.
Yes, sir, Mr.
So, the Police Commission Committee, or Subcommittee, has been a little bit of a contentious issue, but let me get through this and I'll explain myself. So, I move that this board requires that the committee established for the selection of police chief complies with the Opens Meeting Act and all township policies governing committees. That's my motion.
That's your motion.
Yes, sir.
Is there any support for that?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Jameson. Just quickly, the commission and the committee have agreed how this is working. It is working, you know, the process is moving along. It's been okayed by our attorney. There is absolutely nothing that is improper that's being done. And again, the Open Meetings Act does not apply to that group. So there's nothing improper about it. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will.
So moved.
Okay, Jameson, we'll do a roll call.
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Uda?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the agenda is approved as stated. Okay, we are down to public comment. 3 minutes on agenda items. Give your name and where you live. We have a sparse crowd tonight. Yeah.
Sparse is
Yeah.
the right word.
Kathy or Bob, do you have anything on this public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Nadeau.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 21-068, which consists of the following: minutes of the January 10th, 2022 regular meeting, check registers dated through January 21st of 2022, approval to pay bills through February 4th, 2022, and the reappointment, the Downtown Development Authority reappointments.
Questions from the board? Hearing none.
Oh, support. That's what I was going to say,
Oh.
yes.
Any other? Any questions? No questions. Okay, thank you. Hearing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 21-068, which consists of the following: minutes of the January 10th, 2022 regular meeting, check register dated through January 21st, 2022, approval to pay bills through February 4th, 2022, and Downtown Development Authority reappointments. Carl.
Aye.
Uda.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The consent agenda passes. Thank you. Action items. It's going to be Mr. Nadeau tonight. We're dealing with rec department. David, you want to do action item number 1?
Yes, sir. Based on the recommendation of the Community Recreation Commission, I'd like to move that the Township Board of Trustees award the rehab of Pier 4 bid to Boat Hoist USA in the amount of $49,693.
Support.
Getting a little music or something here. Yeah, it sounds like it's coming out of there. Okay, this is, Dave, can you give us a little background on this?
Pier 4 has been closed for the last two seasons due to severe damage from wear and tear. But this pier takes a lot of the brunt of the ice and debris, so that's contributed to the disrepair of that pier. The pier currently is non-usable and in a stage that is could possibly collapse. The repair is urgent for the safety of the entire marina, and the work is expected to be completed sometime in April of 2022. And well, I also add that this pier, when repaired and fully leased, which I'm assured it will be when it's available, generates in the area of $14,000 to $15,000 a year.
Okay.
So it's about a 3 or 4 year payback on the expenditure.
Questions? Yes.
Right out of the gate. Kim, do you also want to come to the podium? Thank you. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me through this. It's just we've had COVID exposure at the clinic where I work, and a number of employees have tested positive since. I have not yet, but I'm not taking any chances on spreading the cheer to the people here. And so I've opted to, mask up. So per the motion, Boat Hoist USA is putting forward roughly $50,000. And you provided us an excellent packet of information, but I noticed that the second bid is considerably higher.
So did we.
Considerably higher. So my concern is the vast difference. I know the people at Boat Hoist USA. I've seen their work. I have no doubt that they can do good work. But I question why the big difference in the bids. And is this something that you or Dave or Derek or maybe Rains can address for the board? Like, are we missing something?
I mean, we're on the same page. We did talk about that.
Yeah, and I was going to ask the same question, because although there's such a wide disparity, your first thought is they just didn't want the job, but they wanted to put in a bid, which is fine. But I would hope that we would actually talk to them and find out to make sure that was the reason. But
Verified the bid, and their bid was $500,000.
I mean, it was 10 times for the
Correct.
people out there. It was 10 times what Boat USA was.
We had, at our last CRC meeting, Charles Rains' company came in and explained their take on the difference. Because they felt the same way when they saw 50,000 and 500,000. Some of it, some of the feeling is they didn't want to not bid, because they didn't want to, they wanted to stay as an active bidder on work down here. Some of the other costs, barges they would have had to bring up from Toledo, which contributed to a lot of that pay. But personally, I don't think they just didn't want the work.
Did anybody actually talk to him?
Rains did. And
Rains-
Rains reported to us because we had asked that question. So, like I said, David, at the last CRC, I asked Matt Sipe, the engineer on the project, to talk to the CRC about that, and he did explain that to the CRC.
They actually talked to him
Yes.
about it. Okay, good enough.
There might also be one other piece of information that's worth noting. This same company did bid on a project that we awarded from DPS about 3 months ago. It was a drainage project over on West River Road. And although they weren't this high comparatively to the other bids, they were quite a bit higher than the other bids that were received. So there might be some disconnect with the pricing, their competitors' pricing, and what they think prices are in this area, not doing much work in the downriver area. That could be part of it too.
Okay, but we did our homework to know that there wasn't anything that we're missing, and that's the important part. Other questions?
Nothing.
Jameson, you're good? Okay. With that, we have a motion based on the recommendation of the Community Recreation Commission that the Township Board of Trustees awards the rehabilitation of Pier 4 bid to Boat Hoist USA in the amount of $49,693. David?
Aye.
Jameson?
Aye.
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. We're gonna get Pier 4,
Rented.
yeah, fixed and rented.
Well, and I think it's worth noting, I know it's after the fact, but that this is a fixed price, so they're not going to be able to come back and have change orders or things like that, so we know what we've got.
Very good. Nice job, Tim. And, next action item, Mr. Nadeau.
Again. At this time, I'd like to make a motion based on the recommendation of the Community Recreation Commission that the Township Board of Trustees approves the Water's Edge Restaurant lease with MMC Company LLC, otherwise known as Smokies on the Water. Excuse me. The lease agreement is from January 1 of 2022 through December 31st of 2022. And the financial impact is it will generate rental income from Smokies in the amount of $36,000 for the year.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to get continue Smokies in the restaurant. Questions from the board? Okay, good. I like the fact that you guys are doing well.
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
I get to move.
Yeah.
And what?
And I get to come on up.
Oh, you get to come back up. Yes, you said I get to move. I'm like, no. No, actually, we've come a long way in the last few years from the first time we came up with a Smokies lease, to the board. And I think this is a very extensive and thorough lease document. I actually just have a question that I probably should have asked before, and it doesn't require any kind of changes or anything. But in the uses portion of the agreement on the second page, so it's 51 of 74, facilities use agreement, it talks about smoking. And so it says that the law prohibits smoking in public buildings with the exception of areas that are privately rented or designated as smoking areas. So I'm assuming that if somebody were to rent out, have an event at Smokies, perhaps they could have a smoking area. But are there smoking designated areas at Smokies now, at Water's Edge now?
On the back part of the building, that's where 90% of the people go.
The back part facing
It's not,
the
it
pool?
doesn't say smoking area, but I'm there all the time, even during concerts. People go to the side part, where you pull up into the lot, and they do provide the ash
Okay.
trays there for
Okay.
people that are, but
But
never
all
smoking.
all outside.
All outside. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I've noticed that, but I was just curious if that was actually the designated smoking area.
Yep. It's
And,
just on the outside.
But beyond that, I think, in terms of the way you've set up the payment scheme, if they have to, cease before, there's coverage for the township. So, I think I'm comfortable with it. I'm curious what my colleagues have to say, but, I'm comfortable with it.
Well, as Kim knows, I always have questions.
Ask away.
My first question is, why aren't we approving the use agreement?
Did I do a typo?
I don't think
It
so.
should be
'cause
use
you didn't-
agreement and lease.
Our legislation doesn't include the use.
My error.
But I should have
Can we
caught
make
that.
We
a
make-
amendment to the
We
motion?
make it, we'll need a friendly amendment. Would that be right? A friendly amendment to add.
Board,
and-
my apologies.
And use agreement.
Well, and given that, I'd like to amend the motion to include, I think it's called use and facilities agreement,
Facilities,
Facilities use
Use
agreement.
agreement.
facilities use agreement.
And all we need, I think, in there is that we're approving both. Okay, so if you would make that, you got that?
we don't have to vote on that, though, right, Brian?
No.
Good
Okay,
catch.
okay, all right. And then, early on, in December, you sent us a list of things that were changed. So I have some things that were on the list, but I don't see where they were changed.
What, from my list to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So possibly
Or my-
later on, you decided not to make these changes, I don't know. But I'm going to your list of December 17th. And there were, well, they're not numbered, so I don't know how many there are, maybe eight things you listed. One of them was, that in section 9 of the lease, which deals with indemnification, you were adding snow plowing. Snow plowing.
That word,
Huh?
just that word. No. The final lease again, and I know we've been kind of going back and forth with this lease. The lease that I had sent out in December was from Mr. Assorti. And the changes that Assorti and I had spoke about were in that lease that I had sent to everybody. And then,
That was never in any of the leases. Number,
the one that I had sent out,
sent this out, and the lease we had at that time, and the lease we have now, and it never was in there.
I'd have to look. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
with you.
That's okay.
Okay.
And the problem
Okay.
I have is that
I'm-
in part 11, you refer to it.
Okay.
F.
So
So
one of them
ba-
has to come out.
I'm sorry?
Either we take it out of 11 or we put it in number 9.
I'm reading, so just bear with
So
me.
it's 11 letter F, correct? Under,
Yeah, 11F is
11F talks about plowing,
the plowing.
and in 9, there isn't any plowing. At least in the copy I have.
And the email that I'd sent you, Supervisor, did I say in number 9 it was supposed,
You had the
I had the word-
paragraphs, you had the paragraphs
Then-
indicated in number 9, adding the word snow plowing to
it should have
one of
been
the
9F. Or I'm sorry, 11F. That was my typo, because, I mean,
Well,
I have
you
me- I
have
have
an- you
memorized
have-
this thing.
things. Have an 11.
Okay, so it is 11F.
And 9 should not have been in there.
No,
Okay,
okay.
okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
I have
It just-
tried to memorize it the best I
It
can.
just,
No,
left
but
me.
that sorts out the problem,
Yes.
so.
Okay. Also on your list, you indicate 10, which is, section 10, which is utilities. You indicate on your list, that 10D, strikeout removed. And
Tenant
that-
shall pay all natural gas charges associated with the premises during the full term of the lease. That is correct.
That's supposed to be in there.
That is correct. They do
Okay.
pay all natural gases.
Well, so the strikeout was wrong. Okay, that's good, that's good, I'm good with that. Number 11, in paragraph A, I just wondered what the phrase about midway through, paragraph A, there is a sentence, landlord has replaced one heating and cooling unit. And I didn't understand the purpose of that even being in there. I mean, it's information that you probably have done that, but
Yes.
it doesn't add anything, or I don't know why it's in that paragraph. What does it tell us?
I see your point. And again, the lease was drafted by Mr. Assorti. I can't answer for him. My only assumption is to say that we did do that project, because that was one of our big projects. And it doesn't need to be there,
Yeah,
correct?
it doesn't, but I don't know that it has to be stricken either.
Okay.
But I just couldn't understand why it was there.
I'm not a professional lease writer.
And I read it as a statement of that this is what the landlord
Starting
has
as a
done.
clean slate.
We did this,
Yeah.
okay. And then, one last thing, Kim.
Yep.
14. Your list says no boat wells. And again, I was having trouble understanding what exactly that meant, with the verbiage of 14 as it is in the lease. I didn't quite understand it. The verbiage in 14 doesn't say they have any boat wells.
Right, they do not.
And so I didn't know.
And I don't have the lease that prior to that in front of me. I just have the current lease and I can read it. Prior agreements between the parties reference the use and ability of boat wells.
Right.
However, tenant has no rights or interest to any boat wells at the Water's Edge Marina under the terms of this lease.
Well, no, well, but no boat wells to me tells me, okay, you're not using the marina.
Right, no
You're
boat
not
wells.
using marina.
That is correct.
Versus, referencing use, not ownership, not you know, these three are dedicated for the restaurant. That'd be them having boat wells. The fact that these people can use various boat wells, you know, to come by boat, and there will be a place to dock, is a completely separate thing, and that's where I was mixed up. Can people come by boat?
People can come by boat, transient, but I read this statement as the tenant, meaning Smokies, has no rights
Has no boat wells.
to the boats, like the boat wells themselves.
Okay,
That's-
thank you.
There are still transient slips.
Yes,
for-
absolutely.
That was where were you cutting out you're not cutting out the transients?
No, absolutely
Okay.
not. There
All
are
right.
There
four
had
slips
been a
out front.
conflict, there had been a conflict, I think, in the past where Smokies was claiming that it could reserve boat wells or use boat wells for its own purposes. And so we
don't the
wanted
tr-
it to be clear that they do
They-
not.
they
the
do
tenant.
not.
The
And it may not even have been, it may have been a previous tenant,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact.
transient boat wells, do they move around? You don't have dedicated transient, isn't it like maybe what's open at that weekend or whatever?
The transient is basically right in front of the flagpole, and there's like typically 4 spots. So
Oh,
if
there are 4
there are 4
transient.
spots.
Okay, thank you.
If we have an open well, meaning someone has not rented a full slip, we do accept overnight transient as well. They need to call in, make those arrangements with Greg, and we have housed some people overnight as well. And we
Okay.
do try as best we can to charge for the transient, which is $5 for 4 hours. Majority of the people do come up to the clubhouse and pay. Sometimes we catch them, sometimes we do not, because I do not have a full-time staff person down there monitoring all the transient coming in and out. So,
Good enough. We have some boat wells available if you
Yes.
want to come by boat.
yes, absolutely.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none. And David, listen to what I say because I want to get in the use agreement. Based upon the recommendation of the Community Recreation Commission, the Township Board of Trustees approves the Water's Edge restaurant lease with restaurant lease and use agreement with MMC Company LLC, paren Smokies on the Water. Does that sound good to everybody? Sounds good. All right. Uda,
I will vote aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Jameson,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
and I vote aye. We have a lease.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Kim.
Good job, Kim.
I think in the past, like when we have passed this, I'm trying to think back just to, and I'm going back, when we approved the lease, we assumed the use agreement was included in that. So I think that's why, like in the past, that's how we did pass it, as the lease included the user agreement as well. So,
Well, and it has to say it. It has to say it.
and I'm learning
Because
as
they
we
are
go.
those are two separate
Yep.
agreements.
So, but thank you
yeah.
very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Good job.
Thanks,
You
Kim.
can go to basketball now. All right, that's the stuff he said.
Wish your young athlete well. Did you get my voicemail?
All right, no other action items, so we're at clerk's report.
Clerk's report. Well, first I'll defer to Deputy Clerk, who's going to tell us it's all quiet on the clerk's front for now, but this is an election year, so if you are watching, if you are in the audience and you are so inclined to become a poll inspector, to be a volunteer, to be a participant on a more than just I'm casting my vote level, give our office a call. We are always looking for, you know, paid volunteers, slightly paid volunteers, beyond the pizza and the pop. But that is all coming forward. So the first election will be in the spring, and of course we have August and November to look forward to. Then I just have a brief.
Uda, if I can just interrupt, just to let the board, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but even board members can do that job.
They absolutely
Since
can.
they are not running, so we don't have any board members running for anything this year, so that job is available to them if they'd like to volunteer.
In fact, unless your name is on the ballot, you can volunteer and take part in the process.
I have done that in the past, and it's a worthwhile. It's a long day, but it's worthwhile.
Well, and what's been really nice over the years is we've involved some high school students. Early on, when the state introduced the electronic poll books, the laptop poll books, some of our longer term, shall I say, senior volunteers were slightly intimidated by the technology. And so we instituted a program of bringing in high school kids, 16 and over, and they've forged some really nice friendships. And in fact, huh?
Get forged.
Forged. Oh, geez. And I'm the English teacher. You are punning me. This is awesome. Thank you, David. They have made good connections. So if you're a high school student and you're interested in taking part in the process, or a college student and you'll be home during a part of the election cycle, please give us a call. The other notice, of course, is right now we have a lot of snowbirds down in Florida and other parts south. And that happens every election cycle. If you want your absent voter ballots, make sure you let our office know where you are. Students also, if you're a first-time voter, make sure you do come in and let us see your official signature so that you are not called in on election day to show that you are who you say you are. And then I just got a short update from Fire Chief Beaudry today. It is early in the year, but we've already had 36 rescue calls and 3 fire calls. And I think he just wanted me to caution people again to be careful. And I guess I personally want to say thank you to our teams out there who are staffing all these events and taking care of our residents. So for the clerk's report, that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Uda. David, Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. From the Finance Office, for the month of December, the township had a total of $12,892,000 invested, and these accounts generated a total of $290 in investment interest at an average interest rate of 0.0341%. The December investment report can be viewed on the Treasurer's section at groseal.com. From the Treasurer's Office, we continue to collect the winter tax bill payments and still collecting late summer tax bills at Township Hall. Winter tax bills are due February 14th, and to date we have collected approximately 63% of the total winter tax rolls. And any required distributions of the tax collections have been sent to Wayne County and the Groseal School District. Winter tax deferments are still available. Eligible residents can apply for an extension of the winter tax due date from February 14th to April 30th, and forms are available online at groseal.com. And just a reminder that effective February 1st, the fee for your pet licenses will increase from $6 to $12. And you can apply for that with the cashier's office in Township Hall. Community Recreation Commission, there is no February meeting scheduled, and our next meeting will be on March 3rd. And the DPS Commission had no meeting in January, and our next meeting will be February 8th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustees reports. Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. I have the pleasure of sitting on two commissions. The first is Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. We did not have a meeting in January because of COVID-related issues, could not gain a quorum. But I am pleased to report we do have an engineering study, a pre-meeting scheduled for February. The date is tentative, but we're working on firming it up as we get more responses in. And the purpose of that pre-meeting will be to engage both the Rec Commission as well as the Groseal Golf and Country Club management, and as well as the Department of Public Services, because those are three entities that are going to be impacted by the study. We're reaching out and asking them to provide their thoughts, their comments, and their concerns. That will be done in mid-February. We're also moving forward with a meeting with the Airport Commerce Commission and the Groseal Airport Advisory Committee, typically referred to by many as the pilots, so that they understand what the proposed trail is along East River. That is on the west side of the existing fence that runs along East River Road. We're looking at moving that, as many of you know, moving that to the west and using the existing gravel maintenance trail as a soft trail. That also will be done in mid-February. It will be done actually during, tentatively scheduled to be held during the Airport Commerce Park regular commission meeting. The second commission I have the pleasure of sitting on is Greenways Open Space. Two things there. You will note when you came in today that the line of wood chips that were running along the Meridian Road next to the woods have been placed on the trail. John Kime was out there Saturday. Timing is everything. John got out there Saturday while the ground was frozen, and he put the chips down in a trail that reaches from just about where the drainage ditch is all the way out to the road, and John assures me that those chips are in there 8 to 10 inches deep, so we're not going to have to go ahead and do this next year and the following year, and try and avoid some of that. The chips are free, so we might as well spread them out, and thanks to Derek and to John Kime for making all that possible, and it's just going to be a big improvement on that trail. The second thing is John advised that the same project is going to be done with the ferry gauge connector, and we have yards and yards of chips there. That's about 1,000 feet of trail, and we'll probably use all of those again with an 8-inch depth or more, as well as culverts in the bottom of the swale and ditch that runs midway between ferry and gauge. So that will be done, and it's just working out well. It's been a long time coming because of the wet spring, summer, and fall we had. Everything is frozen now. We can go out and do it, and then we had snow the next day. So looking forward to getting that done, and that concludes my report.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that. Jameson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I understand we have a study session in the works for the hybrid meeting motion we previously cleared. And then I wanted to follow up on the bridge engineer. I know we found a company that looked reputable and capable. So is the best way to address that a study session in the future?
Well, yeah, Derek, I'm going to have you jump in with that too. But yes,
Okay.
because we want to have them come in and ask questions.
We tell your report then if that's.
Yeah, we did receive the one proposal. I believe a copy of that was passed out to everybody. Hopefully everybody received that copy. If you didn't, let me know. And that'll ultimately be up to the township board. If you guys decide you want to move forward with bringing them in and interviewing them, that has been my process that I've used in the past to solicit engineering proposals and consider those proposals, is to bring them in, ask them what they can do for us, interview them much like you do an employee, to make sure that you feel comfortable that they're capable of providing the services that you desire. If that is the consensus of the group, that's the next step that you would like to follow, we can go ahead and schedule that.
Do that.
Okay.
You get on that.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. But yeah, we want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because our February meeting, we're gonna have the study session on the hybrid. So maybe, we'll see what the timing of the engineer as far as coming in
Sure.
and work around that.
Yep.
Hopefully we can get it done at the same, get it done at a board meeting rather than having to have a special meeting. But we can do it either way, so we can get that moving.
Okay.
Okay. And then ZBA did not meet in December, has not met yet this month, so we'll see if there's any zoning variances requested for next month. And then as a matter of public interest, and I'm sure the board has figured out that I believe that we're making an error in the committee to hire a police chief, in that it's a black box. We don't know what the selection criteria are. They're not publicly posted, and the committee was established over concerns of open meeting compliance and implicit bias, but we have no mechanism of noticing if there's any bias because the meetings are not open. So, nothing further, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, thanks, Jameson. I think we know your feelings on the issue. Thank you. All right. That concludes the trustees' report. Township attorney isn't here today because he's under the COVID protocol. He's okay, but he has been in contact, so he cannot be here tonight. Which brings us to the township manager's report.
Mr. Supervisor and the remainder of the Township Board, real quick update. As Trustee Nadeau had mentioned earlier, we do have a DPS meeting on February 8th. As a reminder, we are planning on having a study session at 6 o'clock prior to our normal 7 o'clock meeting, and that will be to discuss the roads millage proposal. So we're encouraging all the Township Board members to attend that meeting, to have an open communication with the DPS Commission and discuss the proposal that has been formulated by the DPS Commission and strategies moving forward regarding that proposal. So that would be 6 o'clock on the 8th of February. And then the second and last of my updates is just to let the Township Board know that, we're getting close to budget time. The various departments will be starting to work over the next couple of months on the upcoming budget, which starts April 1. We have to have that budget approved by March, the end of March. So working towards that, we need all of the 8 weeks to be able to do that. So we will be starting that shortly, and we'll start with putting some projections together as far as expenditures and revenue, and then we'll be discussing those different items among ourselves in the various departments. So stay tuned to that and have a conversation with your commission or your department that you work with on a regular basis about that process over the next couple of weeks. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah, along those lines, I think we did this last year. We're going to do it again. We're going to have a special session. It'll be an open meeting, but a special session on the budget to give it proper time. For many years, we try and do it in a study session right before the board meeting, and that really limits the time to go through things, to ask questions. So we'll have a meeting unto itself for budget again, for the board to be able to go through everything, ask questions, and have time after that meeting to think about what went on, come back, ask questions, or ask for changes. So, but it is that time of the year we're going to get started on that. We talked about the hybrid meetings. We'll have the study session in our February 14th for sure. Bridge engineer, we'll find out when the engineer is available and schedule that. I sit on the DDA commission. We have a meeting this Thursday. I will say there's nothing, no earth-shattering issues on it, more internal, waiting for our DDA department head to start work. The only other thing that I wanted to put out to the residents is you can now get your COVID tests, your self-COVID tests. There's been a lot of talk about them, and there's been it is out there where you can get them. I'm going to give you the site. It's COVID test, all one word, .gov. You go on there, and it's pretty simple. Name and address, and you can get 4 tests to your, and it's only 4 tests to a residence. So that address can only get 4. Your wife can't go on, you can't go on, the kids can't go on and get more. But they're out there. They're going to be available other ways. Right now, those are the quick ones to get. I, in fact, went on and did it, and like within 3 minutes of filling it out and sending it, I got a confirmation, and they'll even track it, give you notifications of tracking when they're coming. So if you're of the thought that you want those, you certainly can get them pretty easily. So, yes.
I just double checked that address. It's COVID tests
Tests, I'm sorry, you're right. It's
STS.
S. It is S.
.gov. And
Thank you.
and they will be shipped by the U.S. Postal Service. And so
Right.
that's how they're tracking
Well, and
per residence.
you can also go on to the USPS site and order them directly from the postal.
Can you still go into the post? Okay, sorry. If you were gonna cover that, I won't.
What's that?
You can still go into the post office and manually request them for people that aren't internet users.
Oh, that I don't know.
Yeah,
I know
that I do not know. I
you
had,
can go into the post office, period.
They-
But yeah, that's a really good question.
yeah, my guess.
I know that was part of the original rollout. I don't know if it was.
guess is
And
you
everything I read, it never talked about that.
Okay.
Even though it talks a lot about the Postal Service, it didn't talk about going down and filling out a card or anything. But, certainly, if you go into the post office, ask them about
Give it a
that.
try.
Give it a try. Give it a try.
Well, they are,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
microphone. They are, trust me, I go on, first thing I do every morning at work and every last thing before I leave is I try to get more tests. We just used up something like 25 tests in 5 days in our office. And they are now pretty high standard. If you have a positive, you can rely on it. The problem always is, of course, the false negative. And again, like I said, we've been exposed, and even though I'm triple vaccinated, we're playing it safe, because of the environment. But the CDC is also recommending that even vaccinated people who are boosted start wearing N95s or higher level masks, maybe not here, but when they're in an environment where they don't know how many people, don't know the people, et cetera. So, and of course there's new updates every day, right? Something new every day.
There actually is. I mean, you can't get away from it. It's there. So take the time, look at it, and follow your conscience as to what you want to do on that. One last note, and it's a sad note. One of our past trustees and a long-time volunteer to this township, Wally Posias, passed away last week. As of today, I don't have any arrangements or anything, but Wally worked on the DPS commission. He worked on the rec commission. He was a trustee for a term. In fact, he and I were on the DPS commission together, and both ran for township trustee, and both got the nod. Wally was he was the big teddy bear. He had a wonderful outlook. What I always appreciated about Wally was his sincerity of his position. You never had to worry. Whatever he told you, that's what he actually believed. It's too bad. He did have a lot of health complications here at the end, and unfortunately, last week he did pass away. Wally, personally, I'm telling you, I will miss you. Sue, his wife, worked for the township for a number of years in the rec department, and our sympathy goes out to Sue and the family. All right. With that, we have public comment on any topic. Please come to the podium, name and address, and 3 minutes, and it's comment. Thank you.
Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. Hopefully your test will not come by train, because they're finding those things on the train in Los Angeles. Just a thought. Anyways, the review committee established by the supervisor received, my understanding,
Kathy, I'm going to stop you right there. I did not establish it.
fall out of the sky.
No, it
How
did
did it
not.
start?
I did not establish it. I did not establish it.
How did it start?
It's not a discussion. I'm just correcting you.
Well, okay, then we don't know how it started, but suddenly you have a review committee. And my understanding is the review committee that poofed out of the air received 22 chief of police applications. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding all 22 applications were not shared with the entire police commission or all the board members. One can only question why the chair was not selected to participate with nearly 30 years on the commission and his expansive knowledge of the Grosse Ile Police Department's operations, in lieu of a relatively recent appointment who was previously on the board as township clerk. Without reviewing the applications, how would the police commissioners know the 3 selected candidates by the review committee, again, that fell out of the sky, are the most qualified? How would they know? They're just sitting there, you know, no offense, but fat, dumb, and happy. Basically, the police commission has been rendered ineffective regarding their official charge of duty. In my opinion, the year-long process of hiring the new police chief has not been handled properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Mr. Zelasko. Yes, yeah. We have so many to pick from tonight that I just thought I'd
There's a
go.
bus out front.
Yeah.
They're coming. Bob Zelasko, Blauvelt. Maybe I didn't hear it. Was in the discussion on action item number 2 for the lease, was there any talk about the cost? Did it remain the same? Did it change? Did it go up? Did it go down? I didn't hear any.
The annual rent or rental income is $3,000 per month, $36,000 per year. That's the same as it was the prior year.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank the board. You fellas are moving forward for a study session on the hybrid meeting on the 14th of February. Thank you. And we'll also be looking forward for the study session on the bridge engineer, 2 topics that I'm sure everybody would like to bring to a close. Jim, any more word on your famous Q&A? When you might be getting started on that?
No.
Oh, okay. Does that mean we still have interest or no?
We still have interest, but
Okay,
just based on various things, we're not sure anymore.
all right. I would like to compliment and thank Mr. Yeager in his attempt to bring that action item on board. As you can see, it's a topic that's probably going to go on here in the future. And also your comments, I share your feelings on those. As I said, down the road, it's probably going to come up again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zelasko. Being blocked with the podium, is there anyone else out there? Or just Kathy? Okay. All right. That ends public comment. So, with that, I would entertain.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.